All right. Hey, everyone. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to say a special thanks to the Through the Fingers podcast. They sponsored this exciting matchup that we're going to be talking about tonight. Without amazing sponsors like Through the Fingers, we wouldn't be able to have fights like this at this high of a quality. And they've been a really big friend to me and this channel, big supporters. So please go check them out. They are a great channel. They broadcast multiple times a week and they talk about everything arm wrestling. I'm going to link them down below. So please go check them out and let's get into this video. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us again as we continue the 2026 Montana Armbender series. Joining us tonight is Chuck the Destroyer Young and Easton McCormick. Now, this is going to be a best of 5 right-handed match and has a lot of, this was a really important match to me personally that I've kind of called out a couple times on Facebook over the last 2 years, just because I think it's a really cool representation of the future of arm wrestling. You have Chuck Young, the tried and true veteran who has faced down all the legends of the sport and has recent wins on Jordan Sill and Alberta's star heavyweight and Travis Robertson recently. And Easton, you have wins most recently on Cody Merritt, and then you even beat Artem Taranenko. So you have a lot of really good wins under your belt as well. So starting with you, Easton, if you can tell us where you're arm wrestling out of, how long you've been arm wrestling for, and what made you interested in taking this match.
Well, I'm arm wrestling out of La Vista, Nebraska. I've been pulling for coming up on 6 years. I started towards the start of 2020, so coming up on 6 years. The Montana Armbenders production is pretty phenomenal. So immediately when I had the opportunity to get a match like that, I was like, well, first off, the production's great, so I'd love to just get a chance to be on that and be a part of that. And Chuck Young's a fun opponent as well, at least it seems like it. I've been trying to find videos on you, Chuck, but it's kind of hard to. Anything that's super good quality anyway that I can really judge off of. But yeah, it's super cool production, so I just was excited to be on it.
Yeah, Chuck likes to keep it low key and just come out of nowhere and crush people. So
yeah,
he doesn't post all of his stuff to Facebook like we do, but I think that'll be changing here soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chuck, same question over to you.
So I've been pulling since 2012 professionally, and well, actually not professionally. I started in 2012 basically, and I'm really excited about this match. I've been watching Easton. I've been watching you, brother, and it's been pretty impressive. And I don't know when Josh asked me about it, and a lot of people were saying, "Hey, you need to pull such and such." I'm like, "Who's that?" I didn't even know who he was, and I was like, "Yeah, who cares?" I was like, course I will. You know what I mean? And then been checking them out. But yeah, it's been pretty awesome. I'm really excited about this match.
Yeah, like I said, I really am too, because I first came across Easton, I believe it was 2023 when the Super 64, or was that 2024?
Can't quite remember. It was one of those two. It might have been 20. Was it 24? Yeah, my dad's right there. It was 2024. That's what I thought.
So 2024, yeah, we crossed paths at the Super 64.
Yeah.
And right armed, I already had nothing for you at all whatsoever. And I believe you faced Isaac Russell during the tournament, right?
I don't think I pulled Isaac at that event. I do remember pulling Joe Fear. There was
yeah, you beat Joe Fear really convincingly.
I beat Joe Fear. There was another guy that I pulled that I lost to. I can't quite recall the matches without taking a look at him though.
Actually, I think I remember it was you after pulled Isaac, and
probably yeah. Isaac's he's one of my teammates down there in the High Risers crew actually. So me and him pull all the time.
He had a lot of talk going into that event, and and I know you guys are teammates, so you're just constantly making each other better. But I think that's been a really cool, exciting dynamic to see, just because what's better to feed off of than when you have like a teammate like that that's doing so well at the same time. And Chuck, one thing that I think not a lot of people know too is that you, like, most of your arm wrestling power comes from what you do from like work, and you don't necessarily train in the most typical ways that most of us do in order to get stronger at arm wrestling. Easton's kind of known for just really hard work. He posts those crazy training videos lifting big weights, and every month it seems like his arm gets an inch bigger. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting for you to kind of tell people, like, how have you been able to compete at such a high level and continue to get stronger every year without doing like that, just very typical arm wrestling training that you see everyone doing everywhere?
Well, truthfully, I've been troweling concrete for 36 years. So, I mean, I've been, scrubbing floors, pouring concrete. This is straight up stock right here, just, troweling concrete, you know what I mean? Hard work, kind of corn fed. I'm like the old farm truck. I get out and just kick somebody's ass, you know what I mean? So it's kind of that. But I still been trying to do the gym thing, and I just, for me, it's just a recovery, and I'm pouring so much mud, and I'm working so hard, and work so much, so it's kind of like that, and then truthfully, my matches, it's like I'll go do a big fight or super match, and then I want to heal the next month. You know what I'm saying? And that's just recovery. I'm 55, so it's a little bit different story. But luckily I stay conditioned, pouring concrete throughout. What really helps me.
Yeah, and I know I think a lot of people would be surprised because in the open rankings, you made it into the top 10 on airs, which is crazy. I believe you might even be as high as seventh place. I have to double check that. But again, like without doing that, just everyone's in here with our handles, our wrist wrenches, and our multi spinners and all that. And you just it's hard work. And I'm curious, like, what do you think about that, Easton? Because like I said, you're kind of the opposite. Like, we always see you with the training videos. You're always pulling hard, and is like kind of crazy or hard to believe that Chuck's able to stay at the top of the rankings, just pouring concrete and working hard.
Yeah. Arm wrestling's a sport. It's all about tendon strength. Muscle strength is very important too, but with tendon strength, Chuck's been doing it so long at this point, with his physical labor job as well, that since he has that base built up, doing the labor job and hitting the gym for recovery is all he needs to continue to make those little edges and improvements. For me, it's not surprising he's able to stay there. I know that people like my dad's super strong. He doesn't do anything. He just sits around and watches Facebook and goes on Marketplace, and he's still really strong for some reason. It's, yeah, for me, I don't have a physical job. I work kids' birthday parties. We own a fun bounce business here in Omaha, so we do a bunch of fun kid activities and stuff. So for me to get physical activation, I got to do it with the gym, and I love lifting heavy too. It's really fun.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I know you said that you haven't been able to find a whole ton of footage on Chuck, but just from what you do know now, like, what do you think it is that you have that's going to give you the edge in this match?
I feel like endurance might play a really big role here. If I can stop Chuck and work from there, I think that'll give me a huge edge, because my endurance in a match is pretty good. As you can see with the Cody Merritt and Jeremy Parker, they were both really hard endurance matches, especially Cody Merritt. I had to hold him for it felt like an eternity in the match. It was probably 20 or 30-second long rounds, so it was intense.
It was a burner for sure, and you could tell that Cody was not liking that whatsoever.
No.
But like kind of like what you said, a very different opponent in Chuck. Chuck is just gonna front load. That hit is gonna come so much harder than what Cody is gonna hit.
Yeah.
And you can see that if you've been able to do some comparison matches. Like I said, Jordan Sill is probably like one of the best comparisons, and Chuck blasted through him.
Yeah.
And again, it's like saying you're gonna stop Chuck and stopping him is a completely different matter.
Mm-hmm.
And, having said that, Chuck, what is it that you just think that you bring to this match that's just going to be too much for Easton?
Well, the good news is, hey, I'm not going to get gassed. So I know he's got a great hold. I've been studying you. I love it. I think you're really impressive, to be honest with you. I'm really proud of you. It's an honor to pull you. I just want to get this off. It's just like, hey, I'm 55 years old. My youngest son is your age. And it's like, it's like my son's always like, I'm going to kick your ass, Dad. I'm like, no, you're not. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you might be 3 times my kid. I agree. But I'm just saying to you, I'm going to be bringing the fight. But I don't know. I'm really excited about this. This is going to be a cool thing. And I don't know. I feel like I'm extremely fast. I've got a crazy hit, and that's the truth. I know you got a great stopper, and I see that on everything. I think Cody Merritt, he just got flat out gassed, and that was just too much for him. You know what I mean? I've seen a couple of the guys taking you and got you, Parker. All of those guys, they get you, but you've got just an amazing. They might have went through you once or whatever, but once you fill it out, I know you're a smart puller. So I'm really impressed with how smart you are and young.
Thank
and
you.
Upcoming. I am really proud of you. It's going to be an honor to fight you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Serious.
Yeah, no, this matchup is good. Is actually, for me, because again, 'cause I've been calling for so long, this is my favorite matchup on the card. And I'm really happy that Brian over at the Through the Fingers podcast, Brian Parliament, is sponsoring this match, which is super awesome. Great guy. Actually, Chuck has pulled him in the past, and I think he's one of the people who spurred Chuck to go on this rampage and just work 10 times harder than he ever has, and has made him, so much better. And I can't wait to see that rematch too one day. So, thank you, Brian, for sponsoring this match, because without, awesome sponsors like him, then, these type of high quality matches just aren't going to be possible, especially when you have this many fights on the card. But one of the things I wanted to definitely mention that I thought was a very cool aspect of this, fight between you guys is the fact that this is representative of kind of, that classical, it's the old guard versus the new up and comer guy. Easton wants to prove that he can pull with the absolute top and the absolute best guys there is out there. And Chuck wants to show that there's levels to this shit and that, he's not ready to give up losses to these, up and coming guys yet. So I just think that's really cool. And Chuck, I just wanted to know, do you think we've seen the best Chuck yet? Or are you still, committed to getting continuously better and staying at the top and getting even higher up?
To be real with you, dude, I got so much fire in me, man. Like now I've just got massive issues now. I mean, I have been hitting the gym. I'm going massive heavy for you, Easton. Like, so trust me, I'm definitely lifting heavy. So, and I know you are too. I'm proud of you, but I just want you to know you're not the Lone Ranger. I'm coming for you. But I want to give a big shout out to Brian real quick and just say, hey, you know what? Thanks for sponsoring this fight. That means a lot to me. I didn't even know he sponsored it until you mentioned it. So I just want to give you a big shout out. Thank you, Brian. That means a lot to me. And he was a beast. I mean, he is a beast, and I can't wait till I have another match with him again. And so I just want to give a big shout out to you, brother. I love you, brother. It's all good.
Yes, Brian's such a great guy, and for anyone who hasn't heard his podcast, it's great. They're on multiple times a week, and they go over not just things that are happening in Canada, but all kind of like news and tournaments and everything that's going on. So it's a good way to stay up with the pulse of arm wrestling. And Easton, one aspect of this match I really wanted to ask you because I've been watching your progress a lot, and I've been watching your matches. And one thing that I think that you might, especially on the right hand, maybe on the left hand, you've experienced it with. Did you get to pull Cody at all left-handed?
I haven't, but I pull with Wallace Dilly left hand quite a lot. He's another one of my teammates, so I've
Okay.
pulled tense lefts.
So that's, I think, that's really helpful. And man, I love Wallace. I'm glad to see that he's like really on the up and up right now. But Chuck kind of represents the next level up in terms of hand strength that you're just not going to feel at most tournaments or anything else. It's really shocking to most people at first when you first grip up with him. And so I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. Do you think you've been able to develop your hand to a point to where you're going to be able to navigate the setup and get something you're happy with?
I think I'll be able to find a lane. I'll at least attempt to find a lane with the hand, of course, because I'm primarily a top roller. But I'm right now really confident that actually if I can't battle in the hand, if that doesn't work out for me, my arm is so strong right now. It's pretty awesome at the moment. So my hand, I'm trying to get it up to match with my arm, but I've kind of changed away from my hand strength training a little bit recently and focused a little more on the biceps and the elbows and stuff. So I'll do my best to give a good hand battle for sure and try to get a lot in the setup. But I'm pretty confident that I have, like me and Chuck were talking about, the stopping power to be able to get into the match no matter what. Worst case scenario.
Recently you table curled a middleweight arm wrestler basically in weight. So super impressive.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
again,
I wanted to do a video. I was thinking I was going to do a video too and blow my ball sack out and show you too, but it was so funny. And I was like, maybe that might not be a good idea, but it was pretty fun. I was loving it, dude. That was funny. It was awesome. Badass.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know, Chuck, that you don't necessarily use like the gym stuff as your measuring stick for how good someone is on the table, but just like seeing stuff like that, like, have you just been around the sport too long to where that type of stuff doesn't get in your head or mess with you at all? Or it just once you get on the table, that's all that matters?
Hey, you know what? It actually drives me. This whole situation's been driving me even more. It's kind of crazy what I'm going through. It gets me so excited and gets me so pumped up. I bring a lot of energy, and I'm going to bring a shit ton of energy, more so than you've ever dealt with, just in energy wise. You know what I'm saying? Like as a fighter in itself. You know what I mean? But I'm really excited. But it just pumps me up. You know what I mean? Like I love it when I see that. But I also arm wrestle guys that are just make me look freaking totally gay, dude. You know what I mean? These guys are fucking buffer and shit and huge. You know what I mean? And I'm just thinking, you know what, dude? Like, Travis, I had guys coming up
Yeah.
to me and they're like, hey, did you see Travis, man? He's like Superman and shit. I'm like, yeah, he is pretty freaking big. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really look at size, doesn't really matter to me. And with, I'm just saying, I fought a lot of big dudes, like big guys, huge, and they could go down just as fast. You know what I mean? Because I got a lot of speed, a lot of power, and I'm excited for this, man. I'm really pumped. But I just want you to know, Easton, you've been just driving me. I like all your fans that giving me comments and shit. I love it. You know what I mean? It's like badass, dude. I'm like, I cannot wait to fight you. This is gonna be sick.
Yeah. I'm super
You gotta
excited.
love those people who just comment on all the arm wrestling posts and everything.
I
It's
freaking love
the
it.
back and forth is so fun. Oh
It's
yeah,
killing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I
And
love it.
you know, the armbender does represent significant changes than what you may have been used to pulling. So I don't know if you've watched any prior armbenders, Easton, but the way the rule set works is very different. It's kind of it's a non-standard rule set that's meant to push the pace and keep it action oriented and make it really fun for the audience.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people first come to the armbender, they're really surprised by how fast the setup goes. Like you don't get too much time,
Mhm.
you know, to really fill out what you want. You kind of get up there, Keith gets you in a mostly good position, and then you're going, you know?
Just go. Yeah. I
And
get it.
Chuck's a person who's known, and I'm sure you've seen it in at least a couple of his matches. He's known for kind of being a master of the setup and, you know, making sure he gets everything that he wants. He's always super happy with what he wants. He'll, you know, and it's really hard for a lot of people to deal with that. And his style kind of thrives in that armbender environment where it's just a
Yeah.
little bit more chaos than you might be used to in a very strict tournament type setting or a very strict super match format that's following WAF or IFA rules.
Mhm.
So have you had a time to kind of dissect that at all or maybe train around it or kind of feel out how a faster setup might affect you?
I haven't messed around with the speed of the setup yet, and I haven't checked over the rule set, which I need to do still and go through all that and make sure I'm prepared. But that is an interesting idea. I tend to be very comfortable with my setup as well. I generally don't take much in the setup at all. Actually, I'm one of the nicer guys on the table. I don't really battle the hand, battle to get a whole bunch of cup, finger wrap, none of that. I just kind of set my arm up there and blow up and go as hard as I can, and it generally works pretty good with most people. So, but yeah, I do need to go back and research some old matches and kind of get the cadence figured out and get that stuff figured out for sure.
I would definitely highly recommend that because again, the armbender is just very unique. It has a very fun rule set that everyone
Mhm.
really loves once they get a chance to experience it.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, a lot of times competitors come in, especially our friends from up north in Canada who are used to extremely strict rule sets.
Mhm.
And they are very surprised that, you know, someone's saying go and it's been like less than 30 seconds, you know, and
Yeah.
it's so yeah, I would definitely highly recommend that. And you know, Chuck, I kind of want to ask you something along the same lines where it's just like, you know, with the way the armbenders rules are set up and they're more fun and it's a little bit faster paced and hard hitting, you know, like I said, I think that like really benefits your style a lot, like how you like to approach the table and get what you want out of the setup. You know, is that something you enjoy or does it actually kind of, you know, change your outlook or kind of mess with you a little bit too, just because it is so different from how you would approach a tournament or a typical kind of stricter super match?
Well, here's the deal. It all depends on the refs. That's true, 100%. Because we have, I mean, as long if we have a top ref, that's he's the real deal. I'm really good with it. I'm legit on it. I mean, I do like it. I don't know. I've been having a little bit of some problems with. They said, hey, if you get little elbow bumps, we're gonna let it roll and just keep going. Well, for some reason, I was getting the little bumps or whatever. I kept getting fouled out. Like I got fouled out on everything which I couldn't. That kind of bothered me. I'm thinking, you guys said we're not going to have to worry about this. I'm not talking, I'm just little bumps because there was so much pressure. You know what I mean? Like when I fought Logan, you know what I mean? I mean, that was kinda I felt unfair. I felt like but, that's the truth. I got fouled out all the time, and I was like, "What is the freaking deal here? I thought we were supposed to get it on," you know what I mean? But it is what it is, and, I'm adjusting my stuff. I've been adjusting and trying to figure out, how I'm gonna attack this. Easton, I know you're a soft grit, solely set up, legit, nice because you got a fast, extremely killer hit. Like, your hits, very good. I mean, most of the time, you're gonna get guys that are just they're nobody, so you just, whack them, in 2 seconds, you know what I'm saying? And you're just flashing these guys because they can't handle that. Me though, I'm gonna be ready for all of that, and we're gonna set up. We'll be legit, you and I know we're gonna hit each other like two gladiators colliding because this is gonna be really do. Now, if the old man's faster and I get you to the pad, you know what I'm saying? I know you're gonna stomp the brakes on, but just know this: I'm gonna breathe. I'm going to be breathing, and you're going to have a lot of shit to pull back on, 250. I'm going to be holding on to you, but I know it's going to be awesome. And I'm totally excited. And either way, I'm going to be prepared for your hit because your hit's very impressive. That's one thing I really like about you is you got been watching all your matches and shit, and I like the fact you're like a young version. I'm just talking to you real. You know, you're a young version of me in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. You know what I mean? You're powerful. You're upcoming. You're a freaking beast, dude. You're 20 years old. You're a freaking stud, dude. It's an honor to me to pull a young kid, not kid, you know, young man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I'm really excited for this fight. I know a lot of people are talking shit in a great way, but just know that I might be an old guy, but you know what? I am gonna bring it, buddy.
Yeah, I
And I
expect the
just want you to
challenge.
know we're brothers too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like my younger son. So I want you to know when this is all said and done, I want you to know, son, that freaking straight up, man, me and you are you know what I mean? We're family.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
But when
no,
we get
I
out
never
there,
take
Absolutely.
it's
feelings
gonna be
into a
crazy.
match. No. I'm a super humble guy. I'm like the
I know you
opposite
are.
of trash talking. I don't say
Yep.
anything. I just show up
No.
and try and do what I'm supposed to do, and then if I win or lose, I just go on and keep training from there. So
Hey, you
I'm
got a
cool with
lot of
whatever.
manners. You're a good kid, man. You're a really
Thank
good
you.
kid. I like that you're extremely humble, but you back it up. You know what I mean? You're just like they could run their mouth as much as you want. I mean, you know what I mean? So I am proud of you. So your dad should be really proud of you too, because you're smart. You're not an idiot. You know what I mean? You're a good
Thank
kid.
you. Yeah.
So
Absolutely, and that you guys kind of touched on one of the other aspect of this match that actually really excites me, and I think excites a lot of people, is that you guys are both known for just really explosive, hard hits. And where you guys are going to hit, even though you take a slightly different approach to getting there, you're actually going through the same lanes in a lot of the way. So it's going to be really cool to see how those hits collide, especially in the first round. I know you guys are going to make adjustments after that, but if you guys are anything like me, I know like the first round, I like to go out there and just blast someone with my main move and just see if they can take it, you know? And I think both of your guys' primary weapons are just going to be putting power and pressure into the same spots. And it's just really going to be interesting to see what happens when those two forces collide. And I think that's just really exciting.
yeah.
And you know, one thing that Chuck, you know, was kind of called up here was kind of like our king of side pressure. People call like Todd Hutchings side pressure, but Chuck with his huge hit. But like I said, you guys kind of take a different approach. And I'm wondering, Easton, with your hit and how you approach the table, do you consider your hit like side pressure based, or do you think it's more through like the hand and back pressure pronation? How do you see that?
My hit's kind of like a strange version of a high hook. So it's kind of a mix of everything. It's side pressure, it's back pressure, it's cup, it's rise, it's pronation, but it's usually very flat. So it's just from here straight to the pad. But I get to about here on people's hands. If I can crack them just a little bit, normally I have so much momentum just from the raw speed that they just can't hold on to it. So it just flies
Exactly.
through. And then obviously I'm a quite technical puller. I'm very versatile, so I can press, hook, top roll. The only one I don't do a lot is flop press because it's so dangerous. But hook, top roll, high hook, posting top roll, low hand top roll. I try and train everything so I can use anything in a match if I need to.
King's move?
No,
No. No.
I don't king's move or flop press. Those are the two opposite extremes.
Yeah, exactly. Good job, buddy.
Try not to. I just end up there, you know. It's just so frustrating. Every time I
can't
get
do
there,
a
I'm like,
king's
dang
move,
it,
man.
not again. They're gonna call me a dirty King's mover again.
I can't, man. I either get pinned up here or up down here, like flat pressed. I just can't let my bicep go out. It just feels bad for me. I feel like it's too dangerous, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I think one benefit of that you've been able to, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you're only 20 years old, correct?
Yes.
So when you say you started arm wrestling 6 years ago, that means you started arm wrestling around 14.
Around 14.
So you've been able to kind of, you know, build those fundamentals from a young age and kind of shape your tendons, your muscles, your anatomy towards that. And one thing that I think is really, you know, impressive, especially when you get knocked over to the defensive position, is see if I can show it a little bit here, but like you can kind of fight from this position, you know, and you
Yeah.
can keep your
Yeah.
arm. You don't really typically lose your pronation a lot. And even when you do, somehow, like most of the time, when most of us lose our pronation and rise, it's like the arm will fall still anyway, but you're still able to kind of like fight from that position anyway. You just have such a good lock there. And I can't help but think, you know, it's like being able to start at such a young age and just being strict. And I know like one of the great things too, that when we see an Easton match, that means we also get your dad, Ashley, in the crowd yelling and motivating and just, you know, so I know that he's probably like right there with you to, you know, make sure that you've been, you know, pushing hard throughout all this. So I'm just like, being one of those people who has been able to start from a young age, you know, a lot of us older guys who started, I didn't start until my 30s. Like, do you actually think that's helpful? Or do you think that that's been something? Have you seen other people in your club that started later that struggles with certain aspects of arm wrestling that maybe you never really had to?
So absolutely, I believe it helps me a lot because I mean that's right at the start of puberty when your body's trying to grow anyway, and I was growing it while training. I mean, hard. I've been training really hard for the past 5 years, coming up on 6. So it's been like almost every day the entire time. It's been intense training. I don't slack off my training super intense like the videos. That's just how I train often. Those crazy videos is normal stuff that I do all the time. So it definitely helps me with my tendons, my tightness, all that stuff. And it's getting better, of course, as I get a little older and a little bit tighter and more connected. But yeah, there's people like Wallace, right? He started probably 3 or 4 years ago now. At least started taking it seriously then. And he's ridiculously strong. But one of the things that I noticed with myself is since I started at such a young age, my table IQ has been really high from the start. I don't know exactly why my fluidity on the table has been so well. I don't know if it's because I grew into it during those years when I was still developing like that, and I was just so used to pulling all the time. I don't know if that's why, but I know a lot of people, even though they're strong, a lot of my teammates, they still lack that table IQ and that just fluidity on
Right.
the table, and I feel like that's one of the best things I got from starting so young.
I would actually 100% agree with that, and I think you would probably agree too, Chuck, because we have the young Hunter Broughton who's been pulling since a young age too, and he's one of those guys. I think like when you're young, like you see like a ninja obstacle course or whatever, and you just go run through it and you just do it. You don't think about it. Then as like an adult, you overthink it and you stumble through things and blah blah blah. And I would agree. Like I see people who start younger, like it just seems like their movement patterns and the way they do things and the way they adapt to things. Just because I think that the brain's still developing and that kinesthetic awareness that you have when you're younger and you're still kind of getting those growth spurts and learning how to get used to your body as it's still growing and everything like that. Like I think that all does help to kind of build this. And then there's also that extreme confidence you have at a young age where in my 30s I was very hesitant to just blast straight sideways. So I was like, oh, it
Yeah.
feels like my arm's gonna pop off. But when you're a kid, you're like, nothing's gonna hurt me.
I'm
And
just like,
exactly, Chuck. So you were probably like 40, 41 then when you started.
Yeah, whatever 55 is minus back in 2012, that's where I was. But yeah, it's pretty funny. And then what's even crazier, I love looking, like you're massive educated, you're study, you're smart on the table, that's really, really awesome. And then my story, I didn't even know there was an arm wrestling table. You know what I mean? I didn't know shit when I started, and I just thought I was, I never got my arm moved and no one's ever beat me. And you know what I mean? And then to go, fight Luke Kent and everything like that is it's pretty just crazy
Yeah.
up where, you know what I'm saying? But you know what? I put it out there and I'm here now. So it's pretty cool.
That's another really cool aspect, because, when you were starting, like arm wrestling was kind of hitting its like kind of second, coming like its silver age, kind of where BWL was coming up on the rise. And there was like a lot of the names that we know now as legends were like coming up. And, but arm wrestling still had like this very kind of like niche idea to most, our identity to most people, where it's like this thing you do at the bar and that's a professional thing we didn't really know. Whereas now, because so many YouTubers and other things of that nature have gotten into it, I think a lot of younger people are being exposed to arm wrestling, and they're not seeing it as like a hobby, or they don't see it almost like, how like some people view bowling, where it's like it's that thing that your dad does after he gets off work. He goes, has a few beers, and throws a ball down a lane, and it's like it's taken very seriously now. And and I'm wondering, Easton, like amongst people your age and peers, or younger people, what do you think it is appealing about arm wrestling? Like what's getting them into it, and how can we keep, you know, people interested and keep people in your age group wanting to try this out?
Well, I think one of the easiest, or I guess one of the most intriguing things about arm wrestling is how easy it is to do it. All you need is two people and a surface to do it on, and you're good. You don't really got to go out. You don't have to have an arm wrestling table. When I started arm wrestling, we used a dumpster, a big black dumpster, and it was terrible on the elbows, but it worked. You put a shirt down on it, and until I was able to buy an arm wrestling table, we use that. So I think the ease of access for arm wrestling and being able to just try it, you get a strap, a jujitsu belt or something, and a couple of weight plates, and you can get pretty far with just that.
Yeah.
The training for it's easy, it's cheap, and then obviously it's easy to post videos about it, and seems to get a lot of views. So people tend to do stuff nowadays to try and get social media clout out of it too, which for a lot of people probably isn't the main reason, but that could be another factor in that too. So, but I think ease of access is by far the main one.
And Chuck, I'm wondering too, just like from, your perspective, like when you first got into it, like you didn't really have like there wasn't a big presence on YouTube. There wasn't, like all these different, people posting all over Facebook and everything like that. So like how did you get introduced to the actual professional or the sport of arm wrestling? And then what made you actually pursue it as something, serious and something that you took, as a big part of your life like you do now?
Well, humble pie was the thing that I ate a shitload when Luke Kent beat me, you know what I'm saying? And it was what was so great about that, man, it just stirred the pot for me. It just got me so excited. And, so I got massively into it, got, sponsors. I had mass sponsors and I was flying everywhere. I'd fly to Florida, show up to a fight for $250. I mean, like who does that? You know what I mean? And I was flying everywhere, and you know what I'm saying? And I love the energy, and then I got signed on with the UAL immediately with Bill Collins. And Bill Collins, that's one thing Bill really put me out there, you know what I mean? It's like I was talking to the Dana White of, arm wrestling in the beginning, you know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
I had no idea what I was getting into, had no idea, like nothing at all, you know what I'm saying? And then I thought everybody was going to be, like the MMA fighters and all them, they have these cliques and I don't know, it's different with arm wrestling. You could arm wrestle somebody, next thing you know, you're like, this is how you beat me, and we're best buddies, and hey, let's talk to each other all the time. And I could say, hey, I'm flying somewhere, and they're really like, hey, we'll pick you up, and they'll feed you, and you don't even know the people, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like it's so amazing how perfect everyone is and how everybody just loves everybody. And I don't know, it's a good thing, I love it.
Yeah, that is actually really cool how that seems to be a universal experience of everyone that you meet in arm wrestling is kind of like instantly a friend. And it's probably the only sport where, yeah, once if you do lose to someone, the first thing that they say afterwards is, you're really strong. This is all you need to do to beat me. You just got to do this or go there or whatever. And and you won't see that in anything, whether it's like gaming or chess or CrossFit or some other sport or, anything. And it's just like, but in arm wrestling, yeah, it's like, you lose to someone, they tell you how to beat you, and then they take you out to dinner or something. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's a
Hey,
really cool
Easton,
experience.
hey, Easton, how old's your dad?
He just turned, I think, 51. Like
Okay.
what day, 6 days
Okay.
ago.
Is your
51.
dad in there right now?
No, he had to go back upstairs. My mom was.
Okay.
He had to watch
Well,
TV.
he's 51. You know what I mean? It's just kind of crazy. The age thing. It's kind of cool. It's like I'm really to pull someone, puller like yourself at your age. It's very impressive. You know what I'm saying? And where you're gonna be, I'll be like, man, I pulled him when he was 20, and you know what I'm saying. And I don't care as long as I'm sucking air, I'll be arm wrestling until I'm dead. So it don't matter. I'm never gonna quit. I mean, it don't
Yeah.
matter. I mean, luckily I haven't ever got injured. Thank God, knock on wood and everything. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, of course I've been really sore, but you know what I mean. But luckily, my tendon strengths, saved my butt. Trial and concrete my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chuck, you're really gonna like Easton's dad because I've actually told people before that Easton's dad, Ashley, is kind of like how you approach and get riled up and get yourself really in the zone before you get on the table to like arm wrestle. He's like
Yeah,
that in the crowd.
fan in the
And
fan. Hey, that's so killer though to have your dad, in your corner just getting you jacked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that. Like we've that's one thing that I did really good at, got to be in Arm Wars and got to be in some big tournaments, some, big spotlights with the UAL and having big super matches and then being in that adrenaline for me, it was a rush. It's a major rush for me. And I get so excited about it. So it's so exciting, man.
yeah, and before we get into some questions I had about the armbender itself that I wanted to ask you guys, there's also one other aspect that you guys share in common that not very many other arm wrestlers can claim. And I think it might be interesting to hear from both of you, what you think about it and how they might be able to go about replicating that. And that is the fact that both of you guys have sponsors and, you're able to get sponsors. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. So starting with you, Easton, I'm just curious, like, what's been your approach, to obtaining sponsors, and how do you think people should look at it or approach it or go about it, and have realistic expectations with what to expect?
Yeah, so right now I'm sponsored by Allmax Nutrition, a Canadian-based company. Actually, they do all sorts of supplements. They have all sorts of great products. And if you guys use little plug here, if you use code Easton15, you get 15% off on their website on
Nice.
any orders. But they've been really great to work with. I mean, the way that I got sponsored was simply just reaching out and kind of giving a little bit of a portfolio, like, hey, this is what I do, this is how I arm wrestle, blah 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 blah. And they hooked me up with their affiliate/sponsorship program, and so I get the code and I get money back on sales and stuff. But it's not as hard as people think. You're not always guaranteed to get it. Obviously, you got to have some sort of value, social media following, either a lot of views, you have a lot of people you can talk to about it, whatever. For most people, I just recommend trying to reach out to whoever you can, whoever you're interested in. You're not going to get anything done if you don't go out there and try and get something done, right? Like if you
Exactly.
don't reach out, no one's going to hear about it. You can't be afraid to do it. You got to just get whatever you can scrounged up, whatever portfolio, type it all up, and then send it out there. And it's not hard to get affiliate programs and stuff like that. But for expectations, obviously, if you're going to get paid travel or salary pay, anything like that, you'd have to be elite, especially as an arm wrestler. You'd have to be like Devin Larratt level, Michael Todd level to actually get a lot of money that you can put towards your living expenses and stuff. So for the most part, I just get free supplements every month, like $150 worth. And like I said, I get the code where I get money back. But that, as of now, is all I get. I don't get $1,000 a year to put towards travel. I'm working my way there, but you got to have really realistic expectations and stuff.
Absolutely. I think that's a good point to bring up is, you'll never get anything if you don't ask for it or try to get it, in the first place. You can't expect people to just, drop money or whatever, supplements or gear in your lap, for nothing. So yeah, definitely have to go out there and get it. And then, understand where you're at and the trajectory you're going, and not get overexcited or over hope your expectations to just be like, oh, I can quit my job now and I don't have to do XYZ.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, and then, Chuck, I wanted to ask you the same question.
It's pretty crazy. I'm just being real with you, and I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just talking to you real. And in 2012, nobody had sponsors. I'm just saying, in 2012, nobody was having sponsors. And then here I am. I was the marketing director for the monster truck, the Destroyer. So here's a little bit of a feedback. I'm a really good salesman. You know what I'm saying? I was the monster, for the monster trucks. I was his salesman, and basically get him all his sponsors. So I kind of double marketed myself, and I was like, you know what? Hey, I could call myself the Destroyer, and that's how I got the name. That's how that all went about. I had like 3 or 4 sponsors. I even had Clinch Mouth Guards as a sponsor. And, I got fed for a whole year from this barbecue place, which was totally crazy. You know what I mean? And I got 2 meat sponsors right now. So I have a barbecue sponsor. And then I just got Bison Meats. So carnivore. So it's pretty cool. I got that. And then I'm sponsored by Vitality Medical. So I just want to give them a big shout out to all my sponsors and stuff. She does all my blood work, takes care of me on everything. She'll fix my knee if it's, hurt me, but they do everything for me. And I do all my IV bags through them. I do all my stuff. So it's a real blessing to have a doctor so she could just totally, watch me, help me heal, you know what I'm saying? And, take care of me in every direction. So it's pretty bitching. So I'm excited, but I definitely ask, and that's what you got to do. You got to go out there and sell yourself and bring some value to the table. My like Vitality Medical. She loves me. They love me because I've got them like 50, 60 customers all the time, and I say, hey, just tell them that the Destroyer sent me. And they'll have 2, 3 people a week go in there, and it's just like funny. Every time I walk in there, I go, hey, who honestly has got you the most business? They're like, Chuck. Oh my god, you know what I mean? So it's pretty funny, you know what I mean? And then I make all the people that call, and they're always like, "Hey, man, the Destroyer sent me," and they're like, all the girls down there, they just love it, you know what I mean? So it's pretty badass. Very blessed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool. That'd be like something big on my bingo card to land, is definitely like a medical type sponsor, because
Yeah.
we're always banged up, bruised, beat up from something, But yeah, now I wanted to kind of pivot over to the arm bender itself. And one question I've been asking everyone who's been coming on is, from the matchups you've seen announced so far on the card, excluding your own, we'll start with you on this one, Chuck. What's your favorite matchup on this card?
I don't know all of them, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm happy for Logan to pull Jordan Seal. I'm
Yes.
excited about that match. I'm excited about Miles and just to see where he's going for him being so young in the sport. So I'm really proud of him too. You know what I'm saying? But for reaching out to everybody else, I would say I'm excited for Logan. I want to see how he does against Jordan Seal. I got to fight him just back in Idaho. I won the, super heavyweights right and left. I went undefeated there and I brought a lot of, I was on fire, so it was pretty exciting. But I think that's probably my favorite. I don't really know all the other matches, truthfully, and I think most of all, even though I'm not even supposed to say this, I'm really excited for our match. You know what I mean? I'm excited for, and it's going to be cool to see the young stud against the old stud, and you know what I'm saying. So you might have to be just call me dad, be like dad. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But you know what I mean.
And
I'm
Easton,
excited.
is there some match on this card that you're really looking forward to watch?
Yeah, I'm with Chuck on this. I need to go back and look at the whole list. I mean, there's 15 of them to memorize. I
Yeah.
haven't memorized more than two, and that's Logan and Jordan Sill, and then Miles Hutton, and he's pulling Nathan Johnson, I believe. So,
Yes.
and Nathan's a puller that I've known for a while, a long time.
Yeah.
Probably
Nathan
first
had a
pulled with
lot of
him.
good stuff to say about you for sure.
Yes, he pulled with me way back, probably in 2022, if I had to guess, is when I first pulled him. And obviously, he's super strong hook puller. I mean, he's crazy strong, but he's one of the first guys that saw me on the uprise and helped me out with my training and pulling at events and stuff. And then obviously Jordan Sill. I've never met Logan Anderson before, but I keep hearing about him, how good he is for how I think he's only been in the sport for a very short amount of time, and that's kind of what's exciting there. And obviously, Jordan Sill's plenty established. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone who's good at least knows who he is. So I'm excited to see that match too. But other than that, there's some other ones I was excited about, but I couldn't call the names off the top of my head. I'd have to check the list and see.
Yeah, there's a ton of matchups and there's tons of pretty crazy ones on here. But one thing that I think has been all very exciting is that everyone's been rooting for like their hometown heroes. Like there's some big international names on this card, like Sandra Settis versus Adam Orzinski, Warzone, and then there's Cody Wood versus Alexander Groot. But everyone's just been just like,
Cody Wood, hey,
I want
Cody
to
with the
see,
long hair,
yeah, with
Yeah,
the
Cody.
Lions
He
mane.
looks
the
like he's
blonde,
like
the
a
blonde with the long hair. Dude, that'll be cool. I've never met him, but man, that's gonna be exciting to meet him. I'm excited about that. That's cool.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, and he'll be here. And his I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend, Jade, has a match on the card too, and so I'll be interviewing them at some point. So yeah, we'll get to see some more like out of state people coming up and pulling and challenging our guys, because at the end of the day, this is Montana versus the world, which is kind of a cool idea that it grew to such a big thing. Because like you said, Easton, I think honestly, like if you look at the production quality and you look at the amount of money that goes down on the table, this is probably like the premier event in the whole Northwest, because a lot of times a lot of these big events, people don't know that the athletes don't essentially get anything. They get the exposure, which is great, but Josh is so good about taking care of everybody and making everyone feel like a VIP. And I think that's really great. And the crowd is incredible. If you go back and watch the matches and you see how much they get into it, and as the matches go along, like people in the crowd will just start throwing money and betting on people in the middle of the match, like, oh, Logan's doing good. Like Logan got like $8,000 or something like that because people just kept throwing money on the table. And that's like an aspect you don't see anywhere else. And it's part of what makes the armbenders so freaking exciting. Another question I wanted to ask everyone too is, and with you guys it'll be a little bit different because only one of you is from Montana, so I'm gonna frame this slightly different. But let's say this match goes your way, and we'll start with you, Chuck, this time. If this match goes your way, who's the next opponent you want to fight at the armbender?
So truthfully, I want to fight Robbie Topi. Like just that's what I want to do. And I have a thing with him. I mean, I wanna pull him. I've been thinking about Robbie Topi just because when I was in Idaho, I mean, I pulled so much in Idaho, I was like burned out. You know what I mean? Like I was done, right? And then Robbie Topi was all gooned up, and he had a challenge coin. He's just, he was pretty juiced. You know what I mean? And he's like, I want to, he challenges me, and I'm like, oh, now you challenge me when I'm blowing my ball sack out. You know what I mean? And I'm freaking, oh, I'm washed up. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and it sucked because I was just done. You know what I mean? Like I was done. And then of course I said, okay. And I went up there anyway, and he got me, but I got him. You know what I mean? And then he ended up getting me, but it is what it is. But that's one that I'm gonna definitely pull him. So I've been thinking about that, and I got a couple other ones up my sleeve. I'm pretty excited about. But hey, can I give a real shout out to Josh though?
Yeah.
I gotta tell you something. Josh Wilson, man, has really just done a lot for this sport up here in Montana. And when he first got me on the deal, I was just like, didn't really know who he was, whatever. And then just what he's progressed and what he's done for the sport in Montana. It's awesome. And these events are killer, and to be a part of it, it means the world to me. And he's just a great guy. He's always there for you. He's a good Christian. He's a legit dude, man. And I just want to give a big shout out to you, Josh. I just want to say thanks for everything that you do for the sport in Montana. And you know what I mean? I think your events are kick ass, and it is cool that everyone's just throwing money, and I mean everyone gets pumped up, and that's what I feed off of. I feed off the crowd. And if there is no crowd, if I'm gonna go real crazy and I'm gonna make sure that the shit's getting done, you know what I'm saying? And if I have to go out there in the crowd, do whatever I can, I will. So I don't know. I bring it, and I love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you bring that up because yeah, that is a great point. Yeah, Josh is an amazing promoter, and he doesn't get enough credit amongst the arm wrestling community for everything that he does. But yeah, Robbie Topi, that'd be a great match, and I would love to see that at the Arm Bender. But let's say things go Easton's way, then Easton, who would you want to pull at the next Arm Bender to defend your spot here?
I'm not sure. I mean, who do you guys have that's above you, Chuck? I haven't really checked any Montana rankings or anything, but
Well, I mean, truthfully, well, Joe Fair is he. I mean, he is. I haven't been able to fight him for a long, long time. For some reason, him and Leaf is a
Steve
stud. You know what I
Sorensen.
mean?
Okay.
Now, and Leaf's really amazing, and he's extremely, extremely strong. Before I used to go through them, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
I used to just blast through them, but for the last, I don't know, 2 years, something like that. I mean, we had it. He's been able to get me, and it's been
Mhm.
kind of frustrating to be honest with you. But I got it. But the other thing too is if we bang out the top, we go to a strap. I got him in his straps. I was supposed to what is it? The second or the third? Everybody's meeting up.
Yeah,
What is it? The January 3rd. Yeah, so I wanted to do Logan again left-handed, and then I was gonna challenge Leaf, a right-handed strap match only, and then Logan said no because of February, and then I was like, "Well, maybe I should wait too," you know what I'm saying, and save everything and make sure there's no
Yeah.
excuses, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but anyway, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, Leaf Sorensen would probably be the pick. I knew that was the name in my head, but I couldn't bring it up. I couldn't put it all together. But yeah, Leaf Sorensen was one of the ones we actually wanted to challenge from the beginning, so it'd probably be him.
yeah. Leaf is definitely he's gotten so strong over the last 2 years, like Chuck has said, where it's
Yeah.
just like he came on and he had really good fundamentals. It wasn't all there, but just in the last 2 years, he's grown so much. And it's really a shame that he doesn't get to travel. He works really hard. He works a lot. Because I think he would be a name that a lot of people knew if he got a chance to travel and get his name out there. And I know recently he went down to I think it was at Arizona, and he trained with Eric Wolf, and yeah, they were all super impressed by how powerful he is. And yeah, that would definitely be one of the ways to go because like right now the top guys are Chuck, Leaf, and Joe on the right hand until Ben heals up. Because Ben's own words is that everyone's just a placeholder until he finishes healing. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, there's a lot of exciting up and coming guys in Montana right now, and climbing the rakes in Montana is a difficult task for anybody. So
Yeah.
it's really exciting to see Chuck battling it out with all these guys and seeing who comes out on top. Because yeah, that match with Logan super close, and Logan has about as much power as anyone can possibly have, and
Mhm.
so there's a lot of movement in the left, a lot of movement in the right, and I think that'd be a really cool pick and really cool matchup to see for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Hey,
I
can I
think
say make one comment?
yes, absolutely.
I gotta tell you something. Hey, let's get something straight here. Let's just pretend for a second it went your way or whatever, whatever, like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's just pretend for a second, okay? Bottom line is, even though you're trying to go whatever, believe this. I guarantee you this. There's going to be a rematch. So just know that. And I guarantee you, if your dad sits there, smash, you know what I mean? I take you out too. You never know. You'll be like, you're going to be wanting me. So I think we should stay together and make this happen because I know we're going to be bringing a big, big, big fight to the table. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that for a fact. So I think it's going to be pretty badass. But you're right about Leaf and everybody else. They're awesome. Oh, and that's the other one. I do want to fight Joe. So that's one that I want to do. I would have to say I want to be able to arm wrestle him too. On the airs, I'm number one right left-handed in Montana on the airs deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, but I don't know. I got to get these younger guys. I'm gonna go after market 2026. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
go after market.
Oh yeah, love to hear it. But yeah, no, I think we got into a lot of cool topics here, and I think everyone got a chance to know you guys. So now this is the time where, you know, I want to give you guys an opportunity to have a free mic. You know, shout out any sponsors, say anything you want to say to your opponent before you guys face each other in February, and yeah, just close out this conversation with whatever you guys want. And we'll start with you, Easton.
Yeah. Once again, shout out to Brian Parliament for sponsoring the match. I didn't know he sponsored it either until you mentioned it in the chat. I'm like, oh shoot, I need to get this figured out. So I looked him up, and the Through the Fingers podcast is pretty legit. Make sure you guys go on YouTube and subscribe to that. Take a look at all that content there. And then shout out to my family, of course, my dad. I'm a Christian as well, so shout out to God for allowing me to be here and blessing me with all that I have. Without him, none of this would be possible. And then shout out to my team as well: Wallace, Isaac Russell, Jimmy, all of us. Nebraska High Risers are on the move as well. Everybody's getting so dang strong here. I think you guys will be hearing a lot more about our teammates and their names here soon, hopefully. So, but yeah, other than that, so thank you, Andrew, for having me on here as well. I'm super excited. And Chuck, I'm excited to pull with you. No matter what happens, win or lose, I'll take it. I'll run with it and continue to improve. But just know that I will be bringing my very best for you. So I'll be training as hard as I can, and I'll show up the strongest I've ever been, hopefully by far, is my plan.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and, you know, sharing a little bit about yourself with us. That's been really great. And then hopefully maybe we can also get your opinion, get you on the after pool table with Logan, and maybe see if a future match with Wallace and Logan left-handed would be a good way to go.
My left will
and
be
then
all healed up too, so I'll be able to judge it.
Absolutely. And Chuck, any closing statements from you?
Hey, I just want to give a big shout out to all my fans out there. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I want to thank Brian for sponsoring this match. Josh, thanks for picking me for this fight. And I know, Josh, when you texted me a long time ago and you said Easton McCormick and I didn't know who it was, did my research. Easton, I'm so excited. I'm really, really honored to pull you. It means a lot to me. And I know you're going to bring everything. And I just want you to know that you've actually put more fire into me more than anything for a fight. That's just, I just want to say thank you for that. You know what I mean? It means a lot to me. I promise you, and I put this on everything, like I'm bringing everything I have for this fight. And I mean, I'm going to be ready. And most of all, I'm definitely a big time Christian too. And I just want to give all the glory to God and thank him for, giving me the strength to be a warrior for him. And that's what I am. I'm a disciple of him. Full everything that I have is because of him. And I just want to say thank you to that. And, I just appreciate everything. And I appreciate you, Andrew, bringing us on here together. And it means a lot to me. But I just want to tell my family that I love them and everybody out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be bringing a hell of a fight. And I just want to say thanks to everybody. And I really appreciate everybody's fans and everything. I just want to say thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I really want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight as we got to know these guys. This matchup is my favorite match on the card, and I cannot wait to see what happens when they just collide in the center of the table on that first hit. So if you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys next time.